Howdy, let's start our first organic nomenclature lesson about straight chain alkanes. Let's understand what organic means. It means that it has carbon and hydrogen, for sure has those as its backbone, and then it can have oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, or even phosphorus, and they can be there too. Those are more optional, but these must be there, carbon and hydrogen. So now, an alkane is what we would call a saturated hydrocarbon. So by saturated, we mean that there are only single bonds, and they are, since there are only single bonds, you can put as many hydrogens as you want on there. And since carbon can only bond 4 times, it is saturated with hydrogen. That is where we get the name saturated from. Okay? So later on, we'll move to unsaturated. But we're talking about only single bonds right here. That's what a saturated hydrocarbon is. Now, hydrocarbon, you can imagine, hydro means H, carbon means C. So there's only carbon and hydrogen. All right, we're starting off easy. Now, for every alkane, it is associated with a couple of things. There's first the stem. Every organic molecule will have some kind of stem. Now, if the number of carbon atoms from 1 to 10 will have a different stem. So for 1, it will be meth. 2 is eth. 3 is prop. 4 is bute. 5 is pent. 6 is hex. 7 is hept. 8 is oct. 9 is non. And then 10 is dec. All right. So from here over, it's probably pretty familiar. Pent all the way to dec. But then we get to meth, ep, prop, and bute. Those are kind of newish. So you'll have to know those. Something about peanut butter, me eats peanut butter, or something like that could be whatever you make up to it. But you'll remember it. We'll use it enough. All right. So now the last one is the suffix, the thing that goes at the end. Every alkane ends in an A-N-E. All right. So if it starts with methane, you know it has 1 carbon and it's an alkane. Get the idea? So let's do that. Methane is going to look like 1 carbon. Carbon bonds 4 times. And it is a hydrocarbon, so you logically can assume that it's only this and a molecular formula of this. All right. Now, methane is the simplest one. So let's try one a little more difficult. Let's do propane. Here is, let's do 1, 2, 3. And let's fill in our hydrogens. They deduct a point if you don't fill in your hydrogens, all of your hydrogens. You'll hear me say that once or twice. So there are 3 carbons, and there are going to be 8 hydrogens. And now there is another way to say that. You can say that it could be CH3, CH2, and then CH3. You can basically read it right to left. CH3. Okay, so these all have different names. This is called the structural formula. I did not spell that right. Whatever. Structural formula. I know I didn't spell it right. But it shows the structure. And you'll see different things could have different structures later on. But this is the molecular formula. And then this is what we would call the condensed formula. I know it's kind of a misnomer because this one does not look very condensed compared to this one, but this is called the condensed formula. So let's try one more. Let's try hexane. I just want to show you one little point. So if we have hexane, it has 6 carbons, and we'll put in all of our hydrogens. I put in all my hydrogens, so I would make that C6, and that's going to be H14. There's 14 hydrogens there. Go ahead and count them. And the condensed formula would be CH3, CH2, 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 and then that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hydrogens. So the last one is CH3. Or you could write it CH3. You see how that repeated 4 times? Well, you can shorthand it to do that. All right? So that is perfectly legal. That is still a valid condensed formula. Sometimes you see that on multiple choice every now and then. So there's one other thing. There is what we call a general formula. And that's the formula that's in charge of all the other formulas, right? And that is going to be, you could tell that there's a pattern right here. So the number of carbons and the number of hydrogens is going to be 2n plus 2. All right. So if there was 2 carbons, that would be 2 times 2 is 4, plus 2 is going to be 6. So it would be C2H6. Right. So that is the general formula. Each grouping, this group is called the alkanes, is going to have its own general formula. So that is essentially organic chemistry in a nutshell, or the straight chains alkanes. Enjoy.